Hi everybody, Ask Jenny K returns tonight in The Taming of the Scrap Monster. Yes, I'm going to show you how I have tamed my scraps, and believe me, I had a lot of them this past year. Thank you for joining me. We're having a few technical difficulties, but I think we're going to be awesome. Okay, so remember, this is your chance to get answers to your quilting questions. I may be able to answer them while we're here, but if I don't, I'll be sure to get them later. Feel free to post in the comments whatever you've got. Feel free to chime in. I want to share with you guys just a couple things. One, this beautiful star is the center of the ribbon floral block of the month from Fons and Porter. I filmed some videos for it last year, taking you step by step through it, and it's going to be available at the end of January. You can link through it on my website, so be sure to visit there at the end of January and check it out. It's a beautiful, beautiful quilt. And while you're there, you can check out this. This is my new pattern. It's kind of a modern take on a sampler. It's called Just a Taste, and it's part of the first Friday for 5 campaign. So that means the first Friday that I post it, it's going to be available for $5. So be sure, check it out, pick up your copy while they are on sale. Get that out of the way. Okay, and one more thing on a little bit of a personal note. I'm on camera a lot, and I've struggled with my weight. Things going up and down, and a lot more ups than I would like there to be. But I decided to make a change this year, and I've started a Facebook page called Jenny K Weighs In, and a YouTube page. And it's going to be, I'm going to kind of document my weight loss video adventure. So if this is an issue that you've had, or you want some help or camaraderie or whatever, check them out. I've got a few videos posted up there already, and I'm just going to go along and share my experiences and the things that I learn and what works and what doesn't work. So check those out. If you like them, feel free to share them. All right, on with the show. The Taming of the Scrap Monster. Ooh, scary scraps. All right, so we all have a mess. We'll get a huge mess sometimes, and we have to bring it under control. Now, there's a few reasons why we end up with that mess. For me, and I'm sure other people have had this problem, it's what I call stop, drop, and roll. I stop at home with the pattern or whatever I'm working on, I drop it, and I just roll right on to the next thing. Well, of course, big scraps build up. Second thing is we don't have a plan. You know that you need to organize them, but you just don't know quite how to do it yet. Another reason can be you just aren't ready to take action. You're kind of, yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to do something fun and happy. I don't want to organize those. So you may be delaying on taking action. And I'll tell you a little story about this for the next point here. When I was in high school, I went to Holland, and I toured a cheese factory. And you know, they make the homemade style cheeses and everything. And the woman who was giving the tour, she says, "What does it mean if you get mold on your cheese?" I said, "Oh, what does it mean?" She said, "It means you're not eating enough cheese." Oh, okay, got it. But that may be something to consider. If you're getting vast amounts of scraps and things are just kind of accumulating, maybe you're not sewing enough. Maybe you just need to sew more. It's an idea. Another reason why we might end up with way too much is because we may just have too much fabric. I know, I said it, but it is a possibility. We'll talk more about that later. All right, so what do I do when I have my big piles of scraps? Because I just get a big thing and I just have to sort through it. The first step that you want to do is to sort by color. And it doesn't have to be any like really technical, anything like that. You could just start, you know, Roy G. Biv, go through the colors of the rainbow and say like you get blues and you realize, oh, I could have a good pile of aquas as well, and greens. I might have some teals. Just separate them to different piles. It doesn't matter. It'll work out just fine. So yeah, just start to make those new piles. The second way that you want to sort things is by size. So here I have my little scraps, right? These are little bitty scraps. Strips, triangles, little squares, things that are already cut out. Those would go in the scrap section. Then I have kind of the fat quarter section, which it might be anywhere. It's kind of what I described usable fabric. This is a set of usable fabric. I can use this on something else. I've got a decent amount to work with there. So I would consider that in my fat quarter, even though it's not a full-size fat quarter. I would put that in my fat quarter section, and the fat quarters can go up to like about a half a yard. So it's a fat quarter-ish, around there. And then the third one would be yardage. If you've got good a good amount of yardage here that you can work with, and I'll show you how we store it. So you would separate them out into those different sizes first. The next thing you need to consider is usability. Now, I really want you to think carefully about this. And in usability, consider the size of something, right? This, I might be able to use. This, I might not. I'm not going to use that one. That's going goodbye. And I mean, you could think like, oh, hey, I've got this, and look at that. I can use that. If you're using these little tiny bits, there may be other issues that we need to talk about at another time. Maybe it's just time to let those little bitty things that are just too small to use, pass them on their way. Get them out of there. You can use them for stuffing in a pillow or something like that if you want to. Okay, and then another thing to consider with usability. Do you like this fabric? Do you really? Will you ever use this fabric? I mean, because if you don't like it, if it's, well, it was some so-and-so or something like that, maybe it's time to move along. If you don't really like it, if you're not going to use it, I mean, really, it can move on. It can go on to someplace else. Now, storage. So you've got your piles. You've got your scraps. You've got your fat quarters. You've got your yardage. What are we going to do with them? Let me show you. Let me show you what I have. I started putting stuff in bags, just zip top bags. But as I got bigger, I got these great tins. Not a tin, it's a bucket or plastic container. It's a plastic container for which to hold things. So here's all my pinks. These are my pink scraps. You can see I got lots of little scraps and all different kinds of colors in here, but they all read pink to me. They all say if I wanted something pink, this is what I would go, and I'd go and check in this one. So I store those in there. Now for fat quarters and things that are a little bit larger, I'll fold them up and then I store them in another tin. I like these clear tins because you can see the color. I think that's, I mean, we're quilters. The color matters. And we're going to want to see the colors on there. But I'll just fold them up and put them in there so I can kind of have an idea. They're not all folded exactly so they measure across the same. I have other things to think about besides doing that. So I don't worry too much about the exactness of how they're folded. But all my purple is in there together, ready to go for me. And then the last thing, fat quarters. When you're up to it, when you start at about a half a yard and any kind of yardage, then I put it on a cardboard, comic book board. These boards are, it's just a little piece of cardboard and it's designed to fit in the comic books to keep them straight and to keep them in good condition. It is just perfect to wrap these guys up in there. And then I use a little metal T-pin. A little tiny metal T-pin just to keep them in shape. So just to pin the fabric in there, and that does the trick. That keeps everything organized. You can stack it up however you want to do it. So that works really well. Step 3, because step 1 was sorting, step 2 is storage, step 3, purge. Now I put this in this spot intentionally because I want you to be able to fully assess what you have to work with. Because you may have to purge if you don't have enough space. It's a possibility. I live in a finite house. My fabric is already pushing the finite possibilities of this building. And I'm not going to rent another storage space to store fabric that I'm never going to use. I'm not going to do that. So if I don't have enough space, and if I don't really love it, and that, maybe it's time to purge, and that can go to someone else. What if I don't really like the fabric? What if I look at the fabric and it doesn't sing to me. It doesn't speak to me. I'm thinking, well, I don't think I'm ever gonna use that one. Then it's time to purge that. And another thing to think about too, I had a friend in the bee that I belong to, and she called us all at one point and said, this next time we get together, I have sorted through all my fabric and I realized in my lifetime, I'm never gonna make anything with these things. So I want to give them to you guys. So she brought them there, but that's something to think about. That's something to think about and getting rid of. Sometimes we hold on to things for a really long time. There's a sad story from when I was working at a local quilt shop, and some gal came in and she said, do you guys accept fabric donations? Sure, yes we do. We have a place we can give them to. Great. So she brought in these 2 or 3 big tins of, plastic containers of fabric. And she said, oh, I need those containers back, but you guys can keep the fabric. So me and another one of the gals there went in the back room and we emptied out all of them. And what was sad was that we found fabric that was still in the bags, fabric that still had receipts in the bags with them, fabric that was cut out a bunch of little shapes but never sewn together, all those kinds of things. And the sad part was that, this woman had intended to do that, but her family didn't appreciate that hobby, which we can understand. Not everybody's going to appreciate that hobby, but there are going to be other people out there that do. And it's sad that those things kind of ended up coming to us with people that they just didn't have an appreciation for them. But it was sad to see all those things that she had wanted to make in her lifetime and wasn't able to do. So sometimes we need to let go of all the things that we want to make and pass them along. So this is the fun part of Purge. What can you do with it? You can donate it, that's one thing, to local charities. Think Project Linus. Around here we have Firehouse Quilts. They make quilts to go on the fire trucks and for police cars for when there's fires. They can take them out and wrap them up in the people who are just seeing this terrible thing happen to their home. And I think that's a wonderful thing. There's Guilds and Bees, all kinds of charitable organizations that make quilts for people. That's a great place to put it. Think about ARC, or donating to Goodwill or Salvation Army. I mean, I've seen lots of posts where somebody has this whole pile of stuff and look what I got at Goodwill. Score! I got it. And they're so excited. You can make somebody's day by doing that for them. So that's another option to do it. Another one too is if you say, hey, this is good fabric, but it's not my style, I'm going to sell it. And you can sell it online. There's ways you can do that. And then the last thing, of course, is like what my friend Susan did. She gave it to her quilting friends. She said, here, let's have a little party. Here, you can divvy up. You guys can take whatever you'd like. So that's another way to handle that. All right, so I think I've covered some territory about how you can tame your scraps. Don't look at it as look at it as like some sort of tiresome chore. Put your favorite show on, binge watch while you're sorting everything out on the floor there or on a table or something like that, and make it a fun thing. Make it enjoy. Yeah, there's lots of memories tied up in the fabric. I can look at almost every piece of fabric that I have and say I know where I got it or I know what project it was associated with. So it's kind of fun to be able to do that. All right, shared lots of ideas with you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Please feel free to share this video and any of my videos with anyone else you think that might enjoy it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.